Morning. Hello. Good morning, everyone. So how did all your doodling go yesterday? Did you end up doodling a lot of people and different actions and different emotions? Good morning. It's fun to see all the messages. Good morning, everyone. Just do a quick check here while we're waiting for a couple more people. Do you have your pencils and papers? Pencil crayons are optional, but I've seen some pretty cool colored doodles. And let me know if the music's too loud or if my voice is too soft. Awesome. So, just like at the beginning of every class that I teach in person, someone's been asking, what are we drawing today? I'm going to reveal that in a little bit. But we're going to start with a little warm-up. So yesterday we did an inventors mashup. Today we're going to mash up two different characters into one new character. So I'm going to show you two pictures of familiar characters that I want you to combine into one character. And it's going to be super weird, but it will be a good challenge. Hopefully have some funny results. So, here are your two characters. You ready? Try not to be too shocked. I want you to combine these two characters into one character. So, however you think you can combine those two characters, do a little doodle. So if you're just joining us now, our little warm-up is to combine these two characters into one new character. This is Cinderella. This is Mario. How would you combine them? I'll do one off to the side too, and then I'll reveal it in a little bit. So I'll give you maybe 5 minutes. We'll doodle together. Is it gonna be Mario wearing a dress, or Cinderella wearing Mario's hat, or are you doing something totally unique? And again, it's going to look super weird because you often don't see these two characters together. But that's part of the fun and part of the challenge. And it's a mashup exercise, so there's really no wrong answer. So just go for it. Mine's looking super weird already. Hello, people who just joined. You might be confused why these two pictures are up. We're doing a warm-up exercise to combine these two characters into a new character. So feel free to join in. I'm just doodling one off to the side too, and I'll reveal it in a little bit. And if you're comfortable sharing your mashups later on in the group, that would be super cool to see. And if you're not quite ready to share, that's okay too. Actually, as I'm drawing, I'm noticing some similarities between the two characters. Did you notice they're both wearing gloves? And give you a couple more minutes here. I'm almost done my quick doodle here. They are also standing in the same position. That is a good observation. Okay, so I think I'm about ready here. Are you ready to see my mashup? They are also both wearing blue. Yes, there are so many similarities now that we talk about it. And they're also both smiling. They both have blue eyes. Good job. So, here is my super weird mashup. I hope yours is equally weird or weirder. Okay, so I'm looking forward to seeing your mashups. Now, I will reveal what we're drawing today. We're going to be doodling. As per Dylan's request, we're going to be doodling some Mario Kart characters and some carts and things like that. So, here's my paper. Remove that. So, we'll start with, maybe we'll bring back Mario. We'll start with Mario because he's kind of like the star. Okay, so whenever you're drawing from a reference picture, and I recommend you do this a lot as practice, I still use reference pictures because I don't think I can draw him from memory. It will look totally different, maybe look like Panda even. So when you have a reference picture, you want to look for the biggest shapes first and try to draw those super lightly onto your paper. So if you look at Mario's body here, we'll see basically a circle. There's like another circle for the belly area, and then there's like rectangles and 2 smaller circles for the feet. So we will try to draw those basic shapes in first and then smaller details after. So here's the shape for the head, and if you can see how sketchy my lines are to begin with, that's usually how I start, just to make sure I get the proportions kind of right. And then there, kind of like so. There's a leg, and the other leg is kind of angled out. So this one and then this one. And the feet are like circles or ovals. And if you look here, this oval, the end of the oval kind of touches the corner of that rectangle there, like so. And then this one's kind of the opposite. Okay, so you can kind of see it's starting to look like his pose already. So here is, if you can imagine, the arm is behind here. You only see the elbow part really. And there's a hand here, but it's behind his belly, so you will only see this little part. And then there's this arm. So it's going out in that direction. And from the elbow, which is where that is, there's like another little. And then I just do a circle, simplify it for the hand for now. Okay, so that's how you really quickly rough in the shapes. So other shapes, there's this kind of hat shape. You can either think of it as a triangle or as an oval. So I'm gonna kind of combine it and do kind of a triangle / oval, and we can fix it later. And then there's another little circle for the nose, and the circle is not in the middle of his face here because he's looking to the side. So if you look at the kind of the side at the edge of the circle, it's touching the edge of the face, kind of right here. So that's where I'm going to draw that. Okay, so those are the basic shapes. And now we can go ahead and try to make it look more like Mario. So let's start with the nose, because I think it's the most prominent here. And from the nose, you can see his cheek comes out and his chin's kind of V-shaped. So we'll go in a little bit darker this time. Okay, and then if you look at this side, it's a little bit curved, so I add that curve. And then there's the ear. I forgot to add that basic shape, but it's right here. Yep, his mustache is really important too, so let's add that in. So his mustache looks like this is the basic shape here, and then it's got little round parts. So like so, little circles underneath. Whoop. And then he has a little smile there. Okay, and got some sideburns here. And his eyes. And so his eyes are ovals. So it's one big oval and then a smaller oval and a smaller oval, and then you color the inside. And then the other eye, you can only see a little bit of it because of his big nose. Yep, the mustache does look like an upside down cloud. You are correct. Okay, and so if you look here, you notice that my hat shape's kind of not as accurate as I want, which is totally fine because I'm starting here and I'm adjusting as I go. So here I want to draw the side of the face. And then I'm just going to change. Now that I look at it carefully, I can see that this line curves upwards. So I'm going to curve that line upwards. Okay. And he has really dark eyebrows. And there's the lip of his hat. So it looks like it follows the same line that I just drew until about here. So it follows the same line and then it goes out a little bit. And then it comes in to where the eyebrow is. So as you're looking at a reference picture, you're kind of looking at different points that are on your picture as references for relative distance and relative proportions. So now I see that I put this out a little bit too much, so I'm going to bring it in a bit. Okay, I'll go a little bit slower. Okay. So just to review, we started at the nose on the face. And we did kind of like the outside shape of the face, the ears, eyes. When I'm drawing my own characters, I usually draw the head shape first, and then the eyes, and then all the other details. But in this case, I drew Mario's nose first, because it's kind of in front of everything. Okay, so I'll continue with the hat here. And if you failed, that's okay. You just have to doodle it again. It's not a contest, it's not marked. You're just practicing. So it's not like you can only draw Mario once. You can draw Mario as many times as you want to get good at it. So for the top part of the hat, this part of the hat kind of starts here-ish. So if you imagine a line from the face that's connected to the hat, it kind of goes out like that. And then it looks like it's a straight, kind of almost straight up angle. It curves in a little bit. And another thing I usually tell my students if you're drawing from reference is you can kind of ghost trace on top of your paper or your reference. Like ghost trace a couple of times so you get the motion right, and then try to use that same motion on your drawing. So that's kind of what I'm doing. If you see me hovering over my reference picture, I'm just going with that, using the same motion. Okay, and it ends like this little dip in the hat ends kind of where the ear is, so that's kind of where I stopped. And then there's like a little round ball shape here, like so. And So this part of the hat has the logo. So there's a little circle. And the M has pointy top parts, but then flatter bottom parts of the M. And then the middle part is the pointy part as well. So basically, whenever you're drawing from reference pictures or from life, you're using your observation skills. And those observation skills are super useful if you're a scientist, if you're an engineer, whatever you want to do. Observation skills are really important, so it's a good thing to practice it. And it's fun. Okay, how did you do with the head so far? Okay. So also, I'm just gonna keep going around this way. There's a little bit of hair behind his head there. I'll add that in. And it's okay if your doodle is terrible for now. It's not gonna be perfect the first time. But it's important to try. And if you want, you can restart it. After the live video ends, I think you can just keep replaying it. You can pause it wherever you want. I know I'm going a little bit fast, but knowing that you can pause it later, hopefully that will let you catch up too. Okay, so let's go on to his belly here and his overalls. So another thing I usually like to think about when I'm drawing is what kind of section or part of it is on top that I need to draw first. So for me, it looks like this, like the buckle part of his overalls is kind of on top. So I will draw that first. And if you follow the shape of his belly here, that's where the first kind of strap is. And this one is on the other side of his shoulder here. And that basic shape is a rectangle. And then you can put your circle on top. And so this line here shows some of his red shirt. So I'm going to estimate that it's about this far. So you can see I also hovered on top of my paper to find the distance there. Okay. And so let's go to the side. I'll go straight down here for the pants. And so before I go on to the rest of this leg, or this part of the body, or this part of the body, I noticed that the hand is kind of on top, so I'm going to draw the hand first. And hands are kind of hard to draw, so I'm going to show you a simplified way to draw it for now. But just know that you can draw it the same way if you use your observational skills. So for us, just to simplify things a little bit, you're going to draw a line. You can draw kind of like a rectangle for this cuff part. And we're going to use that same circular shape. But we're going to add little curls for the fingers at the bottom. So it'll look like this. Fingers. And the palm of your hand. And maybe a thumb. Okay. That's a weird position to draw a hand, so Something like that is good enough for us. And when I'm doodling, it's even simpler. I just stick with that. That's it. Okay, or even simpler, you can keep it as a circle. Okay, and then we're gonna use these guide shapes that we've drawn for the arms. We're just going to darken the outlines a bit. Erase some of these lines so you can see a bit better. Okay, and then let's finish his overalls near his armpit here. There is this little dip. Okay, and then his pants. So again, I'm following the shapes that I already drew and just outlining the outside a bit. And then the other side of his leg here is kind of behind this leg. So I'll stop my line there. And I'll use that same line. Okay. And there's a little curve here. If you don't want to draw the curve, you can just go straight across. Totally okay. We're allowed to simplify things as we're doodling. Okay, and then I'll draw this round part of the foot here. That round part, and it looks like it just goes all the way across. If you want to add the detail of the sole here, it looks like it's in two sections, so it goes like that, and then a little dip before the heel. And then this one, if you look, the line of the bottom of the foot is a little bit lower than that one. So if I drew a straight line across here and a straight line across here, you can see this foot is a little bit lower than that foot. So I'm going to make sure that that foot comes down to here a little bit more. Also the pants, I guess. So let's say this line simplifies to kind of that. Then the round curve of the shoe, and a round of the back of the shoe. Feet are another thing that's hard to draw. Okay, I'll erase that line. How's that? Okay, so that's kind of how I go about drawing from a reference picture. Obviously, I've had a lot of practice, so I don't expect anyone, and you shouldn't expect yourself to be at this level yet. Just keep practicing. That's all. Not a magic trick. It's just good old-fashioned practice. So with that, I'm going to show you a simplified way that I would doodle Mario really quickly. This is a good point. There's another arm. Forgot the other arm. So let's finish that first. and then I'll show you a simplified version of this. So, behind, here's the glove. Ta-da! It wasn't that much left. Okay, so let's draw a simplified Mario first, and then I'll draw a couple of the Mario Kart objects and maybe basic shapes of a cart so you can make your own cart. Okay, so this was my kind of copy of the original, but if you want to just doodle Mario, you just have to think about what are the main elements that makes him Mario. I think it's his nose, mustache, overalls, and probably the hat. So if you think back on yesterday when we drew different people in different proportions, you can kind of make up a pose for Mario yourself. So let's make up a maybe like a happy pose for Mario. So this is us kind of using the elements of Mario and kind of creating our own version of Mario. So I like drawing things with big heads, so I'm gonna go with big head, small body, and I'm gonna make his limbs go that way, and maybe he's clicking his heels. Okay, so that's like my basic shape, basic proportion, basic basic pose, I guess. And now I have to remember the nose, mustache, hat, and he's wearing overalls. So I know he has a big nose. I'm going to exaggerate the nose, maybe. And I'll give him a little mustache. And because we're doodling, you can change the eyes. But I think I still want to keep his thick eyebrows. Give him little ears. And I'll keep his hat. And give him his sideburns so it looks like he has hair. And so we learned that overalls have these strappy things, the little buckle or button. And his gloved hands, we'll give him 3 fingers. Why not? 1, 2, 3. So, if you can see, I'm using those guidelines that I drew really quickly to finish up his body here. And his feet. Okay, so you could still tell that is like Mario because we made him wear the same costume and he has a big nose, but it didn't take as much time as if we were just trying to draw exactly what we see. So another benefit of practicing drawing from reference pictures is you can use that experience to draw new characters, draw your own version of characters, things like that. Okay, and how's my time here? Okay, so we spent a lot of time on Mario. I'm gonna do maybe one more character for today, and then we'll save the rest for another time. Let's do Let's add actually one more easy one before that. Let's do the mushroom. Like the thing you collect to get another life or to grow. So the mushroom has like that shape and that shape, right? Basically. So here's the mushroom, and the mushroom has giant white spots and eyes like this. Yeah, the thing that makes you grow. Haven't played it in a while, so I forget. Okay, so that was a simple one, and I think it comes in a few different colors. So maybe this Mari here is reaching for a mushroom. So those are my basic shapes, a big circle and a small circle, and then I just went and outlined it. Okay, so I saw a few requests for Yoshi, so why don't we look at Yoshi to end for today. And then I think someone said Princess Peach too. We'll keep that for another time. So for now, let's look at Yoshi. Ta-da! I knew it would have been requested. I like Yoshi too. So here he is. What is the biggest shape that you see, first of all? So for me, I see this big circle. It's super round too. It's like a perfect circle. Okay, so that's one basic shape. Let's draw that first. And it does look hard until you break it up into smaller shapes. So let's start with this nose shape. Mine's not a perfect circle, that's fine. If you can draw a perfect circle, please let me know. That's a really cool skill to have. But I don't have that skill. I just draw little sketchy lines until it's round enough for me. And then, so this is the first circle. If you simplify the face shape, it's basically a circle that overlaps with this circle. So, and let's see, kind of overlaps like that. And then there's the eyes kind of here. So it's 3 circles for the head. And let's see, let's say that the body is like an oval. And it's an oval. And triangle for the tail maybe? Kind of like a curved triangle. Body, tail. Let's see. The foot is kind of in front and it's big, so I'm gonna draw that because it looks like it's like right next to the belly. So that's like right there. And then I'm gonna join the foot to the belly or the body with a rectangular shape here. Okay, and then same thing. There's like a rectangle for the leg and circle for, or oval for the foot. And I'm missing the arms. So the fist here is really close to the face. I'm gonna simplify the arm to one shape, but it does have two sections. And this arm here, let's see, let's say that is about the shoulder. I'm gonna draw our rectangle, and the hand you can simplify to a circle and a couple of little ovals. So circle, oval, longer oval, longer oval. And they're a little bit far apart, but we can fix that later. Just want to quickly get the rough shape of everything. And then he's got like spikes or spines. Kind of like that. Okay, so that's really rough, basic shapes of Yoshi. So now we're gonna go back and try to add in some more details and fix them up so it looks more like what we see. So let's start with the nose because it's really big. And if you look here, he's got some nostrils that are at the top. So let's draw those nostrils. And on my picture, it looks like you can see like the whole thing as a circle, so I'm just gonna keep it that way. And let's go with the eyes next. So this circle, you can divide it into two parts because the eyes are in two sections. And I can see that they're a little bit thinner than I drew them, so I'm gonna come in a little bit, like so. And like so. And then from the inside, you can draw another curved line here. And an eyeball. It's looking at you. And another one. And I'm actually gonna make it a little bit rounder. And so this part of the head looks like it curves into that eyeball part. I don't know the anatomy terms for Yoshi. And then it curves for the cheek. Okay, so if you look, I'm following my guidelines for that circle I drew earlier. But I'm kind of stopping here because I didn't draw a basic shape for where the mouth is. So if you want, it's like another little circle. Okay, and it goes up into the nose. Not into the nose, but into the line of where the nose is. And to make it look like he's smiling, like in the picture, you can go down. And then this line continues for the yellow part of his cheek. Okay, it's starting to kind of look like him. And then here is the body. So here's like the belly. I'm just darkening the lines now a little bit. You might not want to go as dark as I am. I just want to make sure you can see because I have a lot of guidelines going on. But you don't want to draw your line super dark until you're super sure that's where you want it to go. And then if you look at this line here, it kind of intersects with where the leg is, which is where I kind of drew that. So I'm going to make this section of the belly go to the leg. And you can't see it too well, but there is a curve here. So I'm going to draw that curve for the leg. Okay. And then the shoe. Let's simplify the shoe. So there's the cuff. There is the shoe. And if you draw a round oval shape for the sole. Okay. And if you want, this part is kind of a little bit more round, so you can make that part more round if you want. But the simplified version was fine too. Okay, and I'm gonna keep the fist as a circle just to simplify things, but I'll show his little thumb. And those simplified lines we had before were just fine for his arm behind there. Okay, and before we move on to the rest of his body here, let's finish his hand. So his hand, I'm just going to outline around those guides that I drew. And instead of going along this guideline, I'm actually going to curve up into those finger shapes because it curves up here as well. And I'm going to fix that one because it was a little bit far. Ta-da! And the arm here. Okay. And let's finish up the tail. So the tail goes outward like so. And this bottom part has a yellow section that connects to the belly part that we already drew. So we're going to try to follow those lines. And continue just to the tip of the tail. And this line here. Like that. And then the other shoe behind. So here's the leg. Here's like the cuff part. And here's the shoe part. Looks kind of like a bean, I guess. And then the bottom part of it. Okay, and then we're just missing the spikes and the little shell. I thought it was a spike, but it's a shell. So it's a rounded shell with a little bit of the white part. I don't know what it's called. But there's the white part, and then there's the red part of the shell. And then you can see his spikes. He got 3 spikes, but they're kind of hidden, in mine at least. So you can draw. They're behind Yoshi, so you will only see a bit of it. Like that. Ta-da! So that's Yoshi. Oh, it was out of frame. Okay, so hopefully that helped kind of walk you through how you would draw from a reference picture. Your assignment for today, I think, is to find your own reference picture and try to draw just like we did together. Draw the biggest basic shapes, get most of the body in, and then go back and rework it so it looks more like your reference picture. So choose a character that you love. Doesn't have to be from Mario. It can be any character. It can be from Pixar, Disney, I don't know, Marvel, whatever. Any character will do, as long as you're practicing your observational drawing skills. Okay, so I think I will end it here. I think we went the longest today so far, because we drew 2 really cool characters. But hopefully I'll see your drawings in a couple hours, and I'll leave you with the quote that art is too important to not share. So share your art. It's good for the world. It's good for you. Thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow.